This lesson has been designed for the software Silhouette Studio version 4.1.206 SS. It doesn't include any instructions for the Silhouette Cameo, and instead focuses on explaining the main tool you'll use to adjust your design in Silhouette Studio, compound paths. This lesson is a follow-up to the Silhouette Studio tracing video, so watch that one first if you don't have an image or design traced in the Silhouette Studio program. So to begin, we have a cut file we want to cut out using the Cameo. For my design, I'm taking this picture of a dinosaur and I plan to cut it out using a vinyl sticker material. However, there are a few things I want to change about the design before I cut it out. Number one, there are a few details I want to remove because I don't think they add anything to the design and they'll just clog up the cutting process. Number two, I want my sticker to be solid and not an outline like this original image. And number three, I want my design to be 3 different colors instead of 1. To make these changes, I'll be working with what's known as compound paths. A compound path is something Silhouette Studio uses to differentiate between settings and makes the design one whole piece. Without doing anything to my compound path settings, my design is one whole shape and will be cut out in one go. To make any changes, like the one I said before, I have to release the compound path and make the changes one by one. To do that, I right-click on one of my red lines and go down to the Release Compound Path option. You can see that when I do that, my design changes from having one big gray box to having a bunch of little gray boxes, one for each cut line. Before I remove any details from the design, I have to click away on the white space, because otherwise, everything I do will affect all of the selected boxes. So I click away so nothing is selected, and I click on the one cut line I want to change. Here I'm going to click on this little shading detail one by one and just click and delete on my keyboard so that they disappear from the design. This can be done if you find a design with too many details or little details that you just don't need to be there for your design to be complete, and they'll just make your life harder when you actually need to cut them out on the Cameo. You can also move the lines around if you want to change any details. Now that I've removed the details I don't want, I want to make my design solid instead of an outline. Anytime you have a coloring page or an outline of a drawing, you'll have an outline when you cut out instead of a solid shape. When you find a solid design, like a stencil or a silhouette, you don't really have to worry about this because the design is already solid. The easiest way to convert a design from an outline to a solid shape is to delete the outermost line. So I'll find the line that goes all the way around my dinosaur, click on it, and delete. You can see it doesn't really change my design, it just changed it so that now all of these shapes are solid instead of being hollow while the outline is the solid part of the design. This step might not necessarily make sense until you've cut it out using your Cameo, but once you've cut out one outline and one solid design, you'll see what I mean. The final part of my design I want to change is that I want it to be multicolor. To do this, I can change the fill color or the line color. For demonstrative purposes, I'll use the fill color. I'll start by selecting the shape I want to change, then I'll go over to the right-hand menu, select the paint palette, and fill the shape with the color of my choice. Now the color you select here is not indicative of the color you'll choose when you cut out your design. It just shows you the different parts of your design and tells your Cameo that you want these pieces cut out of different colors. While I'm coloring my 3 sections here, red, blue, and green, I might instead pick out white, purple, and orange vinyl, but each color needs to match up with the section I've changed, meaning all my red shapes will be cut out of one color, all of my blue shapes will be cut out of another, and all my green shapes will be cut out of a third color. So a quick recap, you'll release the compound path on your design, remove any lines you don't want, delete the outermost line if you have an outline that you want to be filled in, and change the colors within the design to reflect which sections you plan to cut out of which colors. Lastly, now that you've released your compound path, you're left with shapes that move separately rather than as one like it did when it was all one compound path. To make the design move as one whole piece again, draw a box around the whole design, right-click, and choose Group. Do not choose to make a compound path. This will remove whatever changes you've made to differentiate between the pieces of your design and will make them all have the same settings. Grouping will just make the shape a group as a whole, but retain any changes you've made, like color. If I were to make a compound path out of my 3-color dinosaur, it would take him back to being a 1-color dinosaur. The lines I deleted when I was editing the shape will remain gone, but the different colors that I indicated will no longer exist. To recap everything in this lesson, if you want to make changes to a design, you have to release the compound path. Then, you have to click off of your design once before choosing the lines that you want to edit individually. This can mean changing their color, size, location, or even removing them. Lastly, before moving on, draw a box around your whole design, right-click, and group. That's it for this lesson. Thanks for watching, and I hope I've been able to explain the basics of using compound paths in the Silhouette Studio program.